Hello, everybody. This is James here. If you don't know who I am a brand development specialist. I have been in the web design, digital marketing space for about 3 or so years now. And in this video, I wanted to take some time to talk about pricing. I want to talk about if you're in the service-based industry, how much should you charge for your particular service? So the information that I'm going to give you is based on a few things. First of all, it's based on personal experience. Like I said, I've been doing this for a little over 3 years now at this point. It's also going to be based on a lot of stuff I've heard from a man named Chris Do, who runs a YouTube channel called The Future. You should absolutely check that out if you're even remotely interested in branding, design, anything like that. And it's also based on a lot of stuff that I've heard from my conversations with a good friend of mine named Maurice, who is a business consultant and business coach. So, I am going to try to give you guys some actual dollar amounts at the end of this video. What should you charge? You should probably charge about this. But before I get to actual numbers, there's quite a few things I want to say about that'll lead up to how to make that particular decision. Because the numbers I'm going to give you are more of a range. And so it's still going to be up to you to kind of figure out where in that range you should be charging for your particular service. Okay. So when it comes to determining a price for your service or for anything really, whether it's a product, a tangible product, a commodity, or a service, there are three things that you need to consider. The first thing is the market. And Maurice talks about this in his Facebook Live videos. You need to consider what the market will bear. And when it comes to the service-based industry, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that one because, to be honest, the market will bear just about anything. Okay. I mentioned Chris Do earlier. He has a YouTube channel, The Future. He runs a branding agency, a design agency called Blind. And they literally, they design logos for $100,000. I'm not making that up. Okay. 100 G's to design a logo. Some of you are thinking that's absolutely mind-bogglingly insane. And, a year or two ago, I would have thought the same thing. Some of y'all out there are designing logos for people for $100. Okay. So the market will bear just about anything, whatever price you have in your head that you wish you could charge for your service. There are clients out there who are willing to pay that. Okay. So I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about the market because it's pretty much an open market for us. There for certain products, Maurice talks about this, if you're going to get in the milk industry, there's a certain amount of money you can charge for milk. And if you try to charge more than that, no one's going to buy it. But it's not like that in the service-based industry. There is a wide range of prices. You just need to make sure that you are actually worth it. Okay. There are clients out there, like I said, who are willing to pay whatever number you have in your head if they believe that you are worth it. Which brings me to the second thing that you need to consider when pricing, when pricing your service, which is your confidence / mindset and your skill set, honestly. So obviously, and again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. If you're not good at what you do, you're not going to be able to charge a lot of money for it. So that being said, you don't need to be the absolute best in the world. Even, Chris Do has mentioned that he fully recognizes that he's not the best at everything that they do in his business, which is why he makes it a point to hire and surround himself with people who are better than him at certain things, right? That's why his design agency is so successful. You don't have to be the absolute best at what you do, but you do have to be good at it. Okay. And not only do you have to be good at it, you have to believe that you're good at it. If you don't believe that you're good at it, you're not going to be able to convince a potential client that you're good at it. A quick short story about mindset, my personal experience. When I first started, I would not have called myself a brand development strategist for sure. I called myself a web developer. That's all, basically all I did. I could build you a website using WordPress. But what I was telling people at the time when I first started, I was working in construction full time, and the web design was just sort of a side thing at that time. I wanted it to be a full-time gig, but it wasn't yet. And so I would go to, some networking event or something. I would meet somebody and they would say, "Hey, what do you do?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I work in construction full time and I'm trying to get a web design thing going." And I would say that, and I kept saying that. And I don't really know exactly why, but at one point I sort of had kind of an epiphany. I thought, I just sort of realized, I was like, why am I saying this? Why am I telling people that I work in construction full time? They don't care. I don't even care. It's just something I'm doing to pay the bills right now. I'm just sort of coming right out the gate telling people that web design isn't really, it's not something I'm doing very seriously, right? Oh, I work construction full time and I'm trying to get web design. No, I stopped. I stopped saying that. When people said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a freelance web developer." And I left it at that. That's all they needed to know. They didn't need to know that it was only part-time at that time. They didn't need to know that I was working construction to pay the bills. When I go to networking events and I'm growing my network and I'm meeting people, all they need to know about me is that I'm a web developer. And that's all I really needed to know about me. I needed to own the fact that I was a web developer. I am a freelance web developer. And I'm not a construction worker. And there's nothing wrong with construction workers. It's just not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a web developer. And they say dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. That's just as much of a mindset thing as it is an actual physical, dress the way dress for the job you want. You also need to act like you have the job that you want. If you're doing web design or graphic design or content writing, and it's just a part-time sort of side hustle for you at the moment, treat it like it's your full-time job. Act like it's your full-time job. Act like it's the only thing in the world that you do. It's the only thing you care about. Customers need that. No customer wants to hire somebody to build them a website or design them a logo or whatever, who's just doing it as a side hustle, as a hobby or something. They want someone who's serious about it, who's been doing it, ideally, who's been doing it for a while, or at least has a good portfolio. The idea is they want someone who really cares about it and is really invested in that job. Long story short, you need to be confident in your abilities. You need to have the abilities. So never stop learning. Never stop watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, whatever it is, talking to people who've been doing what you do for longer than you've been doing it. Never stop trying to get better at what you do. Never forget that you aren't the best at it, but you don't have to be the best at it. Okay. There's a lot of people who get down and they see all these other people who are so much better than them and they get discouraged. There's always going to be someone better than you. Okay. But that doesn't mean that you can't charge what you're worth. That doesn't mean you can't make a good living doing what you do. Okay. Just never stop learning and be confident in your abilities. When you're sitting down with a client, they need to know that you can solve their problem. Whatever problem it is they have, whatever their business goals are, they need to know that you can solve those problems, and you need to know that you can solve those problems. The third thing that you need to consider when determining what to charge for your service is your client. You need to have the right kind of client sitting in front of you. I could talk for a long time about this. Honestly, this could be its own series of videos probably, and I'll try not to go on and on, but I do want to say that, I don't mean to disrespect or insult anybody out there, but when it comes down to it, there are basically three types of clients. There are clients who have no money. There are clients who have money but don't want to spend it. And there are clients who have money and are okay with spending it if they think that you're worth that money. Okay. So obviously we want that third client. We want the client that has money and is okay with spending it. Okay. And don't let these people fool you. A lot of times when someone says that they don't have money, what they really mean is they have money, they just don't want to spend it. Okay. And that's probably, if I'm being honest, that's probably the worst kind of client you can work for, because the clients that legitimately don't have money, sometimes they're actually pretty grateful that anyone is even giving them the time of day. and they're going to be pretty easy to work with, and they're going to be more likely to sort of trust you and just, because they already know that they're getting a really good deal, and they don't want to, to they just don't want to make waves. But that second client that has money but doesn't want to spend it, those are the ones you want to stay away from, because those are the ones who are going to be trying to nickel and dime you the entire way. And if there's a contract, and so they can't negotiate the price anymore, you've already figured out a price. The way that they're going to try to nickel and dime you is called scope creep. They're going to try and get more out of you for whatever price that you agreed upon. And they're going to try to get you to do work that you didn't agree that you were going to do in the beginning. And they're the client who's never happy with anything. They're oftentimes the client who thinks they know better than you, which always makes me wonder, if you really know as much as you think you do, why did you even hire me? Why don't you just do this yourself, right? So those kind of clients, you're obviously, if a client legitimately doesn't have money, you're not going to be able to charge them money. If you have a client who has money but doesn't want to spend it, it's going to be like pulling teeth trying to get any sort of reasonable amount of money out of that person. So try to avoid those clients as much as possible. And again, they're not bad people. They're just not the clients that you want to work with if you're trying to actually build a real business and make decent money doing what you enjoy doing. You want to find those clients that have money and are okay with spending it. The ones who actually see the value in what you do, and they realize that they can't do it, and that's why they have to hire an expert. They realize that there's a difference between a $500 logo and a $5,000 logo. They understand that there's more to, building a brand than just building a website. They get it. They get it. You got to spend money to make money. That is sounds super cliche, and you've probably heard people say it 1,000 times, but it's true. If you want to make money, you got to spend money. Big risk equals big gains. Little risk equals little gains, right? So, I guess the question is then, how do you get those clients? And that is a tricky one. Again, that could be a whole series of videos in itself, how to attract, higher end clients. But there's some basic things you can do. First of all, it goes back to mindset. When you're talking to clients, you need to understand that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. If you go into a client meeting with the assumption that I'm going to take this job if they offer it to me, that's probably not the right mindset. You need to go into the meeting going, I'm going to take this job if I feel like it's a good fit. And they kind of need to know that too. They need to understand that you're not just here to take any job that comes at you. And you also need to not be afraid to just say no. I literally just did this a couple of days ago. Somebody reached out, and they just wanted a website built. They said they already had some designs ready, and they just wanted someone to build a website. And we had about 3 or 4 emails back and forth as I was trying to figure out what exactly they needed, and it became clear that they were just they weren't looking for anyone to help them build a brand. They literally just needed someone who can click around WordPress and build a website. So I referred this person to somebody else. Don't be afraid to do that. It's okay to do that. You don't have to take every job that comes your way. Some little practical things that I've been doing. I have a website and I have a contact form on the website, and I added one of the things you have to select when you're filling out my form is your budget. And what I've done traditionally is I had like 3 options. If your budget is between this and this, click here. If it's between that and that, click here. I think I'm going to actually change that. I'm just going to make it an empty box. I'm going to say, what is your budget for this project? And it's going to be required. If they don't fill it out, they can't fill out my form. And, I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to handle it, but I'm going to pick a number, probably around $5,000. And if they type in a number that's less than $5,000, I'm not even going to receive that response. I'm not even going to know that they filled out that form. It's just going to direct them to another page that says, hey, if this is your budget, you might want to consider, looking at some of these options, some of these do-it-yourself options like Wix or something. maybe I'll have some links to refer them to some other freelancers who I know. But that's one way to just immediately sort of weed out some of these lower budget clients is with the contact form on your website. If your website is your biggest source of leads, then that's a great place where you can right off the bat with a simple contact form weed out people who are below your budget, right? But again, that would be a whole nother series of strategies and things that you can use to get the clients. I would say the biggest thing to focus on in the beginning is mindset. You need to understand what you're worth. You need to be confident, and you need to be okay with saying no. Now, I get it. If you absolutely need money, I'm not going to tell you don't take these jobs, but I would recommend. When it comes to your portfolio, first of all, don't include everything that you've ever done in your portfolio. Okay. Try to be choosy, put your best work in your portfolio. That might sound obvious, but I know a lot of people think that more is better and they just put every project they've ever done in their portfolio. You don't have to do that. Just put the good stuff in there. And particularly when it comes to a case study, my recommendation is whatever it is that you want to do. For instance, I recently pivoted away from just doing websites into brand development. So my first brand development client, I charged much less than I want to because I just wanted to get one, right? I needed an example. And so the strategy there is get the client, knock it out of the park, make them very happy so that they, one, will tell other people, but two, you can use their project as a case study in the future and to be able to charge, what you actually want. So it's okay to take some jobs in the beginning for less than what you think they're worth to build your portfolio. Just make sure you don't get stuck in that range, because some people get stuck in that range and they sort of become known as the cheap guy. Oh, you need some work done, you don't have a lot of money, oh, call James. That's not a space I want to be in at all. And it's not hard to accidentally sort of slip into that space. So don't be afraid to do a few jobs for less than you want to build your portfolio, but don't get stuck there. Okay. Do a couple jobs, knock them out of the park, give them way more value than what they paid for, and then use those case studies so that you can get more clients and you can charge what you're actually worth for those clients. Okay. So I promised that I would give you some numbers. If I'm being honest, I can only really speak towards like web development and graphic design. I would say if you're just starting out and you have already done some cheap work to build your portfolio and you're ready to start charging what you're worth, it will probably be gradual. It was for me. I built websites for $500 and, gradually increased that price. I didn't go from, $500 to $5,000 like overnight or anything like that. But I would say your goal should probably be to charge no less than $2,000 for a basic website. And if it's an e-commerce website or something with more complex functionality, should probably be a minimum of $3,000 and should go up from there depending on how many products they have in there. And that's just kind of a starting point, sort of a no less than. Okay, so I've built my last client, my most recent client. I built just a website. It's an e-commerce website, and I charged $4,500 for it. And that's not terrible, but that's pretty good for Midwest cost of living. But it was just a website. I didn't do any sort of strategy with this person. I didn't design their logo. They're not even getting a custom design on their website. Okay, it's a template that I customized a little bit. But and those are things to consider too when you're pricing your stuff out. So I would say for a simple website, $2,000 should be your absolute minimum. Okay, anything less than that, and you're just selling yourself short. You're leaving money on the table. I promise you, there are clients out there who will pay you more than that to build a website. Okay, so start there, And then as you build more confidence and you build a portfolio, just increase that price. If you're designing logos, again, that's another thing that I've seen people out there designing logos for $100. I've seen people out there, like the design agency Blind charging $100,000 for a logo. For a basic logo with like maybe one revision, you shouldn't be charging any less than $500 for that. Honestly, I don't care how long it takes you. Quick short story. Chris Do, I mentioned him already a couple of times. He told a story. He asked, I think it was a potential client. He asked them, if I came up with just an idea and I gave you this idea, and this idea allowed you to triple the amount of money that you make in your business, how much would that idea be worth to you? And that client's response was, well, how much time did it take you to come up with that idea? That's walk away. If a client has that kind of mentality, walk away, okay? Because that's the kind of client who's going to try nickel and dime you the whole time. That's the kind of client that doesn't understand the value in what you do, okay? I don't care if you can bang out an amazing logo in 1 hour. You don't charge $100 for that just because it only took you 1 hour, okay? Because it actually took you years of experience and learning, trial and error, and it's about so much more than how much time it took you. It's about solving their problem. They needed a logo. How much is it worth to them to have a good logo that communicates their brand effectively, right? It's not about how much time it took you to do it. It's about the result. Okay. So, absolute bare minimum. Don't ever design a logo for anything less than $500, please. And that's for basic one revision. And one sales technique that Chris Do uses, he'll say, here's a price for a logo. And the client might say, well, that's a little expensive. I don't know. Is it, can you come down? And Chris won't really negotiate, but he will, he'll just remove parts of the service to lower the price. He might say, okay, yeah, we can lower the price a little bit. And we just won't you won't get 3 revisions. You'll just get 1 revision. And, a lot of times that helps the client see that there's so much more to what they're getting than just the logo. They realize, oh, there's actually a lot of work that goes into this. There's a lot of planning, strategy, talent, and they don't want to give up those revisions, right? So because that's like, ooh, if I don't like the first revision, I just have to take it. I just have to accept it. They're like, no, I want more revisions. I want more say. So I think oftentimes when he does that, they will end up saying, oh, no, okay, never mind. I think that price is fair. So I would say don't really negotiate, but don't be afraid to, sure, we can lower the price, but we're going to have to take away some of the things that we said we were going to do for you. Where was I going with that? Yeah, just don't get stuck in the mindset where, well, this only took me 1 or 2 hours to do, so I'm only going to charge this. Get that out of your head. Okay, you are not charging hourly. You are not charging for your time. You are charging for your skills, your expertise, and the end result. So that's, again, I wish I could give you better advice on things like copywriting or something, but that's not really my expertise. I would say just find someone who's been doing that for a long time, and ask them, what do they charge? There's also some research you can do. What's the average cost of, animation or video production, things like that. But for websites, $2,000 absolute minimum. Designing a logo, $500 absolute minimum. Do not go any less than that. I promise, if you're good at what you do, you are worth more than that. So I think that's all that I had to say about pricing. Again, this video could have been much longer. It could have been 5 different videos. So if you have any questions, wherever you're watching this video, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, please feel free to leave some questions or comments in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to address those. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.